Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Kermit Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 1997 slasher movie titled I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer runs for 1 hour and 41 minutes long. It is directed by Jim Gillespie. The script was written by Kevin Williamson. It is based off of the novel by Lois Duncan. It is produced by Neil Moritz, Eric Feig, and Stokely Chafin. It is composed by John Debney. The cinematography was then done by Dennis Crozan, and it was edited by Steve Markovich. And the stars of the movie are Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr., Michelle Gellar, Ryan Phillippe, Johnny Galecki, Brigitte Wilson-Sampras, Anne Heche, Stuart Greer, and Muse Watson. Though it may not be at the same level as Kevin Williamson's other successful ride, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer succeeds nicely on a cleverly written script, heavy on tension, and sharply developed characters, featuring a cast of young performers at the time who are showing promise. Based on a novel by Lois Duncan, Williamson counteracts from his Scream film, which was played closer to parody, to give I Know What You Did Last Summer a more realistic approach to a stressful predicament our heroes have to face as they are dealing with death, remorse, guilt, and revenge from someone who knows what they did last summer. Hence the title, right? Yeah. And of course, as you can see, I am dressed as the fisherman, better known as Ben Willis. You know, completely decked in the raincoat gear, got the rain hat, and I got my weapon of choice, the hook, which he uses as a weapon. So the story goes a little something like this. Let me just get to it right here. So, set on the 4th of July, in a small fishing community in North Carolina, we see 4 young teenagers who decide to enjoy the summer together, possibly one last time as they get drunk and start telling ghost stories by the campfire. We have with us the brainy Julie James, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, who has plans for college. We have the beauty queen, Helen Shivers, played by Michelle Gellar, who has ambitions of becoming a soap opera actress and move to New York City. She also is served as the prom queen at the annual parade. Yeah, here she is sitting on a float, waving to the crowd as she is the Croker County Beauty Queen. What an appropriate name, Croker. Because let's face it, in this movie, there'll be a lot of people doing a lot of croaking, if you know what I mean. Because, as you all know, I'm going to contribute. Little lesson to be learned. The next time you want to throw somebody in the river, make sure they have a pulse or a heartbeat. I think that's the lesson to be learned. Okay, and then we have Barry Cox, played by Ryan Phillippe, who's a jock who has plans of getting a football scholarship and hopes to play for the NFL. And then you got Ray Bronson, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., who's an average guy who has hopes that he could get through life as he works at the dock with his fellow rival Max Nurick, played by Johnny Galecki. Of course, Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar, they were already on CW dramas or action films. Jennifer Love Hewitt, she was on, of course, Party of Five. Sarah Michelle Gellar, she was from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And what a coincidence about soap opera star, because she was, of course, from the soap opera All My Children before. She was Kendall Hart. And, another coincidence too, Freddie Prinze Jr. was at one time married to Sarah Michelle Gellar. I think they still are today. Johnny Galecki, he was Rusty Griswold number 3. He was also David Healy from Roseanne, but his most famous role, of course, is Dr. Leonard Hofstadter from the Big Bang Theory. So this movie succeeds at what Scream fails, is that I Know What You Did Last Summer has a narrative that is strong in terms of morals and a life lesson that the quartet have to deal with. Unlike the novel by Lois Duncan, Williamson made the film more tense, more conflicted, and definitely way more fucking violent as a way to somehow compete with Scream. So under the direction of first-time director Jim Gillespie, he ensured that the story and the genre are handled in a simplistic but still clever approach to a film that could have been just another cliche slasher film. They didn't fuck around in this. Quite obviously. So, while getting inebriated on their ride home, Barry turns up the radio to loud alternative music because, hey, that was the genre of the 90s. Loud alternative music. Screaming out the roof of the car like the drunken fucking idiot that he is. When all of a sudden, they run over a person. Shaken by what they encountered, Ray looks to see who or what it was. At first, they probably thought it was an animal. But then Julie discovers it's a boot. Yeah. Well, who does this boot belong to? So they discover that it's a man that they ran over, and they assume it's dead. He's dead. Ray assumes that he's deceased, knowing that Barry's bottle is still filled with booze. Reporting to the incident with the police would lead all 4 teens to a possible arrest. So the group decides to throw the body into the river and vow to never mention a word to anyone. But however, the shit hits the fan because apparently the 4 of them, well, things did not go too well with them. In school, Julie's grades have been slipping. Barry has become more angrier and hostile towards everybody. Helen's dreams of becoming a soap opera has been tarnished, as she's now been reduced to working at her father's store with her cynical, bossy, and verbally abusive sister Elsa, played by Brigitte Wilson. So things have not been working out. And Ray, well, he's living in a boat. So a year later, Julie returns home and finds in her mail an anonymous letter that says, "I know what you did last summer." Now Julie gets the gang together to further investigate as to who's been sending these letters, all the while a crazed madman sporting a fisherman's parka, complete with a hook on his hands. He's on a killing spree. Might be the one who knows what they did too. Of course, there's all kinds of possible red herrings, possible suspects as to who did this, who's fucking with their minds. And they want to do everything they can possible to put an end to this shit. Who was it? Could it be Max? I mean, he did show up at the scenes. But eventually it turns out that it wasn't him, because eventually the fisherman, he ended up impaling him with the hook. Could it be Ray? Could it be Elsa? It could be anybody. Anybody who appeared on the scene. Julie and Helen decide to go and further investigate as to who this person was. The suspect they led to believe as to who they ran over was somebody by the name of David Egan. And so they go to Missy Egan's place, and it's been revealed that Missy Egan is the victim's brother, the victim's sister, I should say, played by Anne Heche. And she tells them, sorry, sometimes when I'm wearing the mask I tend to get a little confused, so please forgive me. I want to try and get this done faster so that I can take this thing off. So she tells them that it wasn't him because the suspect had a tattoo on his arm. And apparently her brother David did not have a tattoo. But then, we discover that the actual villain in the story is a guy by the name of Ben Willis, who had a tattoo. And he also rode a boat that said Sweet Susie. Now, apparently, according to legend, this Ben Willis is on a warpath of revenge because he's angry because this David Egan was responsible for the death of his daughter Susie. So as an act of revenge, David gets pushed off a cliff. But then, after he got run over, and then got his body thrown in the river, that's when the shit hit the ceiling. And now, he's off to get revenge on these four fuckers. And he actually succeeds in killing at least two of them, as well as a few other victims too, including Max, who really got it for reasons unjustified, but I guess he feared that, he was going to report it. An officer, for whatever reason. And then he also decides to take his intentions out on Barry. And then Helen, he also kills his sister Elsa. So those are the deaths in the movie. And I'm going to tell you, this guy just does not mess around. When it came to casting, it was clever that Williamson casted the right young actors to play the roles that likely fit the roles they have been known for. And also because of the fact that they weren't getting like 20 or 30-year-olds playing teenagers or early 20s. These were actual legitimate late teens, early 20-somethings at the time playing these roles. Julie James, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt, she was the perfect choice because she was famous at the time for playing a similar role to the CW teen drama Party of Five. Very much in the same vein as Neve Campbell's role in Scream. Sarah Michelle Gellar, who plays the likable Buffy Summers on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, has a similar likability here as Helen Shivers. Freddie Prinze Jr., he's effective as the more level-headed Ray that's needed for a film like this. Ryan Phillippe is believable as the understandably hostile and eternally angry Barry, who conceals his fears and worries by acting more toxic with everyone he meets. Even Anne Heche, who plays a smaller and effective role as an eccentric woman who might have been related to the hit and run, although it's been confirmed that she may be associated with the hit and run victim that the guys ran over. But then it reveals that she's not related to him, but has connections to him, because he was the guy who was responsible for killing her brother after her brother accidentally ran over his daughter / his girlfriend. So this bastard is really out for revenge. Yeah. Some pretty tense shit in this movie, I'll tell you. The rookie director Gillespie succeeds in keeping our heroes in line with guilt-trodden, anxiety-ridden, salvation-seeking moments, and an exciting climax that reveals everything to a satisfying conclusion. It really has a conclusion that will likely make Hitchcock green with envy. Other behind-the-scenes contributors deserve praise, like production designer Gary Wisner and director of photography Dennis Crossan, who captures horror film effects like smoke and fog along the dark shadows in the background. And finally, composer John Debney, who relies on more orchestral music, contrary to hard rock music that we are familiar with in genres like these. So overall, I have to say, this is a very, very intense movie. It is loosely based off of the novel by Lois Duncan, because there are a lot of artistic licensing from the book compared to the movie. You know, they did a lot of changes with the characters, both physically and psychologically. But, if you try to compare the book with the movie, well, then you're going to be a lot more critical. So I think it's actually best to just watch the movie, enjoy it. It's a good thing to watch on a dark night when you're when you're alone, grab a box or a bag of popcorn, sit down with your soda and your popcorn and eat it and just enjoy the ride. Don't try to make comparisons with the book and the movie, because you're going to be disappointed, because there's a lot of artistic licensing. And, just to let you know, I mean, the movie was a slasher film, but the novel was more closer to a mystery drama. So, just try and relax, enjoy the music, enjoy the movie, enjoy the ride, get invested with the characters, and I guess this is all I have to say. So I guess this ends my ride review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. But just remember the 3 simple rules: be kind, be courteous, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Currat Rider saying, keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye. If you're not careful, you'll know where to find me.